Hoffman, for sharing that insight and staying with us throughout our news. Now we move on to our next news. Tensions are escalating in northern Syria after an attack on the city of Manbij. Syria's defense ministry accused the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, of launching a rocket barrage on a military outpost, injuring 4 troops and 3 civilians. The SDF, however, denied the accusation, claiming they were responding to an unprovoked artillery attack by factions within Syrian government ranks. This exchange of blame comes just months after the SDF and the Syrian government signed a landmark deal to integrate Kurdish forces into state institutions, aiming to unite the country after over a decade of conflict. The deal signed in March set the stage for a potential merger of Kurdish-led forces with the Damascus government, but key details about how that integration will happen remain unresolved. Now we're joined by Thomas Porteous. He's an anchor and correspondent at NewsX World. Thomas, what more can you tell us about the situation in Syria?
Yes, Asuma, more instability, more accusations in a post-Assad Syria, this time in the north of the country, and this follows a rocket attack on the town, or near the town of Manbij, where several civilians and soldiers were injured. As you've mentioned previously, the two parties blaming each other, that being the Kurdish-led SDF and the Syrian government, both sides now blame each other. This interaction here and these events demonstrate how fragile this ceasefire, this accord was for both the Kurdish forces to work and the government to now work together. Really is. The idea was previously to unite their forces and build peace in their country. However, this seems to be much further away than expected. They disagree how to do this, how to integrate these two forces. The Syrian, the SDF, obviously a US backed group. They want to group together under the National Army. However, the government wants to split them up. This matters, obviously, because it shows how fragile this peace deal really is. Given the fighting before Assad was ousted last year. It's also complicated by Turkey, which doesn't trust the SDF. Turkey obviously has a huge influence in Syria and might use any excuse to attack the SDF. So that is potential here. This new attack and this new disagreement shows how fragile and how high tensions still really remain. We saw just a couple of weeks ago the violence in the south of Syria, and now we're seeing more disruption, more violence in the north. So Syria under al-Shara certainly has a long way to go, and we will of course bring you every single update we can from Syria and the regions surrounding it.
Thank you very much, Thomas Porteous, for sharing that insight. Now we move on to our next news.